tasks when looking at capital items. So.
The 15th and the 1st.
Thanks. Yep, February 15th and March 1st at 5:30.
So have they talked about a long-standing goal at that level, if I could ask the folks on the ad hoc committee?
I'm sorry.
Have they established is the long-term goal of the ad hoc committee to present a balanced budget at the April town meeting?
Oh, I think that's undoubtedly yes. If the ad hoc committee could come together and get behind the town administrator's budget so that we had 3 committees, the school committee, the finance committee, and the school committee, and the board of selectmen, plus the 2 senior executives, the superintendent and the town administrator, all behind one budget, I think it would make the average citizen feel, okay, there's probably something I should vote for, as compared to going to town meetings still with a balanced budget up in the air. So there's no question that's the goal. Getting there is going to be exceedingly difficult and is going to require compromise from everybody. There's no question about that.
Okay, any questions for the ad hoc committee? Having seen none, having none, we move right along to item number 8, early prevention and intervention plan. Mr. Luzon.
That should be put up by the table so they can sit down.
This is what I'm talking about.
Well, good evening, and I want to thank Rhonda for her plug about the kindergarten packet being easily accessible on our website, so technology works, because I'm going to push technology a little bit and do a YouTube presentation to begin this part. So I think I will do that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our committee and just sort of go through what we're doing. But as a starting point, I think it's worth taking 3 minutes, which this YouTube clip is, of Governor Patrick's signing of the anti-bullying law back in May of 2010, because there's been a tremendous amount of work done between May of 2010 and now, and I think this will give you a little bit of a backdrop for that. So if all goes well, great. If it doesn't go well, just remember that Rhonda said that we did a really nice job with the kindergarten packet. I might also add about the kindergarten packet that it is also available in hard copy in all of the schools and the library and the town hall. So if folks can't get the kindergarten packet off the web, then please get them at one of the schools, town hall, library, or call us and we'll get one out to you. But it's very important for us to have kindergarten registration put together very, very quickly so that we know the numbers of students that we're working with. Okay? Okay. Wish me luck. Here we go. Governor Patrick in May of 2010, I hope.
For years now, parents, educators, advocates, and most importantly, students from all across Massachusetts have talked about this issue and demanded action. Their wait is over. Today, I sign into law a strong, sound bill to stop bullying in Massachusetts schools. The two recent tragedies only served to painfully underscore the need for new protections and new policies. As wonderful as our schools and teachers and students are, we know that these issues affect our children at their most vulnerable moments, times when the pressures of peers and the insecurities of childhood and adolescence are most acute. Within this bill are contained a whole host of measures and new tools to empower students and make schools safer across the Commonwealth. It implements new expectations for instruction and for rules of prevention, including the first ever cyberbullying rules. It mandates reporting, requires districts to develop policies and strategies for preventing and addressing instances of bullying. It establishes new lines of communication among education, public health, and public safety officials. It gives cities and towns the ability to address these issues as a community, pulling together resources and collaborating on solutions. And ultimately, it sends a message to every district, every school, and every classroom in this Commonwealth that every child deserves a school environment free from harassment and abuse. I do want to end with a reminder that no matter what we do here, adults still must be adults. Parents have to act like parents, and that goes beyond any piece of legislation, as important as this is. When we're at the dinner table at night, we need to talk with our children about what happened that day at school. When we hear about something, we need to call the other parents and let them know. We need to act like the community that we want to be. This legislation is important, but it is no substitute for each of us showing each child we encounter the care, encouragement, and positive expectations they need and deserve. Bullying is not a normal piece of childhood. Emotional and physical abuse is more than, as they say, kids being kids. And all of us must both model the behavior we want to see and address incidents immediately.
So that was May of 2010, and this is now. So I would like very much to have this be as interactive as you would like it to be. We have several things that we want to talk about tonight. I certainly want to talk with you about the members of a group who spent many nights with me here, and I thank them for that. And they helped to look at each portion of what our obligation was, which was to put together a bully prevention and intervention plan for Wareham Public Schools, as was the charge for all school districts in the Commonwealth. Our plan was submitted about December 15th, so you have in front of you in your packet a draft of that plan, and incidentally you also have a copy of the PowerPoint from this evening as well. So that plan has been submitted. We have not heard back from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, but it is in.
Straight out.
We want to talk with you about some elements of the issue of bullying in 2011 because it looks very, very different than it did 20 or 30 years ago, and I would like to just hit some high points about that. I'd like to talk with you about the required actions per the legislation. I want to review some pieces of the plan with you. I want to talk with you about what people can expect to see this spring and beyond, and also what has already happened as we submitted and distributed, I should say, a brochure in very, very early September, and we have hit all of those marks. And I also want to have you have a chance to ask questions of the members of the committee. And in terms of members of the committee, my hope was that I was going to have in red, I thought I'd color code this for you, the names of the folks that are here today, and most of that is true. Chris called at the last second and said that she had a child that came home with a fever, so Chris Holbrook is not here, but Donna Ashley is. And we also had just many, many people that were involved with this in our, I think, every other week meetings for a couple of months. Dr. Richard Lane has also, as a community member, or a community business person, been involved with our meetings and has been a great help to us in putting together the plan as well. Dr. Sylvia, Rachel Gillette, Dr. Rabinovich have also been there in going through this. I'm going to talk a lot about our partnership with Massachusetts Aggression and Reduction Center. We're very, very lucky that Mark is right at Bridgewater State University, and that organization is very, very much involved in not only our community efforts to have people hear about what bullying is about and how to handle it, as they will next Tuesday evening here at 7 o'clock on the 15th of February. They also are going to be providing the first full staff training for our folks on March 1st, a half-day training of every professional and paraprofessional staff member in the district. So we're well on our way to making sure that the word is out, the professional development part of this is out, that people understand that bullying today needs to be stopped, that this school district in their plan, the very first page of their plan, as you see in the draft before you, is prohibiting bullying from the superintendent to the school committee to the PTAs and school councils. So the message to students is that bullying is absolutely prohibited in Wareham Public Schools. Central to the understanding of the problem is to look at several factors, and I'll just go over these very, very briefly. But it is important for people to understand that there's a difference between typical student conflict and bullying. The legislation in May of 2010 defined bullying, cyberbullying, and retaliation. And they put a whole process around that. However, many things will not fit into the summaries and conclusions of bullying investigations. They will fall into the realm of student conflict. People need to understand very clearly that Wareham schools, the administration, the guidance services, the teachers deal with student conflict every day. That's not going to change. We're going to get better and better at that. We have multiple programs that we use to be able to address student conflict in our schools, and that will continue. But bullying is specifically defined, and it is a subset of student conflict. As I said, the dynamics of bullying today is very different than it was before. I'm going to talk about that a bit. There are gender differences in who the bullies are. There are also differences in what the face of the bully, face of the bully is like. We will also talk about that. Cyberbullying, and we have a new term, cyberdynamics, that there are things that happen on the internet, on text messages, Facebook, and so forth that the look is brand new. This law is the very first law in Massachusetts, and one of the first laws in the country to actually deal with cyberbullying. So the challenge has been, and I believe in a recent memo that we have received, that it is continuing to be a very significant topic about how do you deal with cyberbullying within the schools, often because the cyberbullying occurs in the evening, it occurs on the weekends, and it occurs in situations that we don't have the kids physically with us. So it by itself is a challenge. A whole school approach, including parents, clearly one of the tasks with bullying today is to be able to make sure everybody's talking the same language. They understand terms in the very same way, and that when we talk about bullying, cyberbullying, retaliation, victims, aggressors, and all of the language that you